critique presentation. The problem that I found in this research article was they were trying to figure out if there were higher rates of consideration or attempt of suicide among college students of a different sex or different race or different ethnicity. I do believe the problem that was clearly defined in this article because it explained how the different college students were surveyed randomly in a few different colleges in random classrooms. The process of finding data to this research was described. Different sex, race, and ethnic groups were examined. They did surveys at 2 different colleges, and they gave the surveys to different college students in different college rooms. There were limitations like knowledge gaps. The reason for these gaps is because past studies, society was different, and society back then could not be compared to society today properly. The hypothesis that I gathered was, depending on what sex or race or ethnic group that college student was a part of, also depending on the student's hometown, could increase their suicide consideration or attempts. And the one question I had was between hometown life and different sex, race, ethnic college students, which one was a factor of why that group had higher consideration rates or attempts. I believe this research was explanatory. I believe it was explanatory because several times the article references to past researches that were conducted. But since there were past researches, we can't compare them to today's studies. The sampling group, I believe, was targeted towards college students. The sample group are the college students that were given the survey. I do think it was a good representation because they chose 2 different colleges to test or give the survey out to, and the fact that the surveys were given to random students in random classrooms, I do think that helped out a lot. The reliability and validity were not really discussed, so we can't relate to past studies. The dependent variable, I believe, were the students that were asked the direct question of if they've been considering suicide or have even attempted suicide. The independent variables were the students that were asked questions about how they would describe their weight or what their physical activity was or how their sleep schedule and quality was. Trustworthiness of research design, the internal validity. The concern I had the most was if the students were being completely honest or not. It is said that if you're behind a screen, you're more likely to either be too confident or not really care about telling the truth. So that was the one internal validity issue that I was concerned with. External validity was, even though it was 2 different colleges and random classrooms, I had the concern of whether the survey was given out equally to men, women, different races, and different ethnic groups. Interpreting p-values, I chose table 2 to interpret. Males were at higher risk for suicide consideration attempt. Any other race, ethnic group other than white was at a higher consideration attempt risk for suicide. Also, as semesters went on, the attempt and consideration rates went up. The implication, it didn't really have a theory, but it kind of played more of a role in policies and practices. They recommended counseling offered for college students and it to be encouraged. They recommended that minority groups be monitored more closely to watch for signs of distress in a new population. More resources and opportunities to be offered to minority groups to make them feel more welcome and comfortable in college.